It is impossible to visualize the scale of the universe. There are roughly 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion. 2,000 billion galaxies. And each galaxy is, let's say, around the size of the Milky Way. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but the Milky Way has 400 billion stars in it. It takes light over 100,000 years to cross a galaxy, and there are 2 trillion of them in a piece of the universe we can see, and we're very sure that that piece that we can see is a small bit of what may be an infinite universe beyond. We don't know, actually. And I always say, don't get worried about that, because nobody can picture it.
It's more than likely that you've heard or even thought about how small and insignificant you are. A speck of dust, 1 of 8 billion, on a tiny blue marble orbiting a ball of plasma, following other balls of plasma, that all seem incredibly gigantic and incomprehensible, but in reality they are themselves incredibly small compared to the rest of existence. All these thoughts may give you an existential crisis and make you feel small, pathetic, and useless, which is all true, but it has nothing to do with the size of the universe. The size of the universe is in fact a fantastic and motivating thing that should uplift you and make you feel more hopeful about life and the future of mankind. A vast and open universe with seemingly unending amount of galaxies filled with dead planets and stars, which themselves are filled with resources and materials. A universe where the most rare galaxies, stars, planets, and elements are in abundance simply due to the sheer size of this place. The sheer size makes even intelligent life and consciousness things we don't fully understand or know how to make, as things that can still exist in large numbers in our universe. I could keep going on, but if you feel existential dread from a large universe, this won't convince you. So instead, let's imagine the exact opposite. The geocentric model of the universe is considerably smaller than even our own solar system. It comes from a very simple observation. Everything in the sky looks like it's orbiting us, so therefore it must be orbiting us. And the thing we're on must be the largest and most important. This does mean all the planets are much smaller, and since they can only be seen because they reflect the sun's light against the pitch black darkness of space, it made them look like they were glowing balls of light that no one could possibly land on, and stars were also thought to be glowing balls of light suspended by a giant black sphere that is seemingly impenetrable. If we assume this was reality for a moment, this would mean we are at the center of the universe, and it would make us feel like we're very, very important. But would you actually be important? And would this make you feel better, especially if you know about this reality? Imagine looking at the night sky, and instead of thinking about whether or not there's alien life out there, instead remembering that you're trapped by a giant claustrophobic ball. Imagine the 21st century where we have figured out satellite mapping and mapped out the entire planet and Earth system, and we come to the realization that this is it. This is all the world has to offer. There's nothing more. Any empire, country, or union that ends up uniting all of mankind only has this to work with. If the population or pollution/garbage gets out of control, there's no other place to go. You get a time machine at no charge, but there is one catch. You can only travel more than 100 years, be it the future or the past. It must be more than a century. Given the fact that history has shown us that quality of life and knowledge only improves over time, you'd probably be better off traveling to 2124 rather than 1924, especially considering how much more peaceful the world has gotten. And the farther you travel into the future, the more incomprehensibly advanced humanity would be. To someone from the year 0, the scale of the Three Gorges Dam in China and its power output would simply be impossible to imagine. The same thing would happen to you when you travel into the future. The future being better would be true both for the large universe and the geocentric universe, up to a certain point. Because although progress can happen with finite resources and space to work with, humanity won't be able to just keep advancing. And with the geocentric model, there would be a point where things not only stopped improving, but gradually got worse and worse. Competition for resources and space would cause more wars, and the winners of those wars would be left worse off than they were before. In the massive universe we currently live in, the future being better and better isn't something that's guaranteed forever, but it's still possible. Some would argue likely because humans prefer exploring. And empires, monarchies, and democracies like conquering new land, especially if it promises more resources that you can use to outcompete your rivals. Even in the best case scenario, with a small universe, at some point you would need global peace and a centralized government to ration out resources and stop people from killing each other. With our current universe, there's no amount of people that can use up all the space and resources this place has to offer. So we can just keep expanding and conquering with no limits, assuming we don't meet any advanced alien species. Which, luckily, there doesn't seem to be any sign of them so far. Right now, some of you might get the idea that I'm a bit obsessed with conquest and imperial expansion. But I want to clarify that human expansion isn't cool just because of more resources in space. It's great because more resources and space means more humans and a longer lasting span of time where we get to exist. The universe being better with more humans is an easy thing to explain because humans make a lot of great things happen. Art forms like music, books, architecture, poetry, movies, and games have all been made by humans. And the more humans you have for a longer period of time, the more we create. Right now, there's hundreds of different music genres, and most of them didn't even exist before the Industrial Revolution, before we increased our production capacity and total population. If you were born 50,000 years ago and you had a talent for making rock music or playing the piano, you would have no idea. People who are born today are born into a world where they have the opportunity to find out what they're good at. Because of technology, we have thousands of different instruments and art forms. Art forms like movies and video games literally didn't exist for most of human history, and they are some of the biggest and most influential art forms today. The more time we have and the more humans we have, the more we seem to create. Now imagine the difference in art quality and variety between the large and possibly infinite universe that lasts for trillions and trillions of years, and the small geocentric universe. When I say or describe an impossible task or ability, I often follow it up with the word, yet. For example, we can't snap our fingers and evaporate an entire planet, yet. We can't walk on the surface of the sun, yet. This is a very silly way of understanding what future societies will accomplish, and no one can predict what future technology will look like. But I would rather bet on the side of us being able to do something given enough time, rather than assume we can't. Since describing the modern world to a person who lived 4,000 years ago would feel like describing a fairy tale, where humans do all the things people said were impossible, or have powers that are only accessible to the gods, like walking on the surface of the moon, or having access to all human knowledge in a device that can fit in your pocket. Even if you somehow don't appreciate all the things humanity has created and will continue to create in the future, and you only like the Earth for its nature and beautiful environment, a large universe would still be preferred over a small one. Our current universe doesn't just have one more unique environment, it has a possible infinite number of them. We have a possible trillions of different planets with unique life forms. And even if they don't have life, and life is much rarer than we thought, they would still have unique, lifeless environments, like Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain in the solar system, or Valles Marineris, the largest canyon in the solar system, or Verona Rupes, the largest cliff in the solar system. And that's just what this solar system has. Imagine how many unique environments exist outside the solar system. And even if life didn't exist outside of Earth, life itself would still spread there eventually, because humans exploring the universe would absolutely bring parts of nature with them, and preserve its beauty as much as possible. We already have the world's largest seed collection in Norway, storing all the world's seeds to make sure they don't go extinct. There would be a space equivalent to this in the future. We have every reason to bring plants and animals with us to make other planets more Earth-like. The universe is also so plentiful that we could have entire planets filled with specific endangered species of plants, animals, or fungi, all without running out of space or resources for our own species. The only genuine problem I have with this universe is how empty it is. All the planets are hundreds of millions of kilometers apart, and even the fastest thing in the universe is still painfully slow. Just traveling from the sun to the Earth takes light 8 minutes. And to reach Pluto, it takes light 5.5 hours. And that's the fastest anything can travel in this universe, including information, which means there will always be a 1-second delay between the Earth and the Moon, and a 20-minute delay between the Earth and Mars. Once you leave the solar system, space only gets more vast and more empty, with the closest star system, Alpha Centauri, being 4.3 light years away. Meaning, even if you could travel at the speed of light, it would still take you more than 4 years to reach the nearest star system. And once you go outside the galaxy, space gets even more ridiculously empty. with the average distance between galaxies being 9.9 million light years. My main problem with the universe isn't its size, it's the fact that I can't reach all of it. Or in other words, that it's not big enough. Besides that, I think everything about the universe is great as it is. I don't have a problem with size, I have a problem with limitations. And I hope we can escape them at all costs. I hope one day we can travel faster than the speed of light, or use wormholes to reach the rest of space. I hope we find out that the universe is actually a lot bigger than we thought. I hope we discover other universes and dimensions, and find out it's possible to travel to other parallel timelines, and find more space and more time. I hope we have an infinite, never-ending experience of discovery and exploration, coupled with inventions and increasing ways to entertain ourselves. Ultimately, my thought process might be a bit different from some people who worry about being insignificant compared to the size of the universe, as if they're not part of the universe themselves. But if you ever feel existential dread from the size of the universe, remember, having less than what we have isn't going to make you feel any better about our situation, and living in a small universe would only make you feel claustrophobic. Anyways, that's it. Please subscribe so I can actually get monetized on this channel, and be sure to follow me on my Twitch, link in the description. Bye.